And good evening, East Alabama, West Georgia, and all of you out there this evening. It is Friday, January 26, 2024. Time now for an edition of Weather Talk Live as we talk about the potential for some rain and maybe even a round or two of strong to possibly marginally severe thunderstorms as we get into your Saturday. Let me start this evening's discussion by saying this. This weather event that we're going to be looking at late tonight and throughout the day on Saturday is going to be conditional, very conditional. A lot of things are going to have to come in place for different types of weather to develop late tonight and into Saturday. So we're going to step through all of that, and I'll be answering questions here in a few moments. If you have specific questions, don't post them just yet because I'm not looking at the chat room. We'll get to that in about 15 minutes or so as we move through this evening's Weather Talk Live. For those of you who've never watched Weather Talk Live, this is something new that we've started a couple of weeks ago, and whenever there is a risk for significant weather, then we'll go live at least 12 to 24 hours prior to the event, and we'll talk about it. We'll tell you what the possibilities are. Understand there's always that chance it'll be a complete bust and we won't get any of the possibilities, but there's also that possibility that we could. So we're going to tell you what is on the table and what we may see as we go through the next 12 to 24 hours across East Alabama, West Georgia. And we'll even talk a little bit about North Georgia because I know there's quite a few folks in the room tonight up here in the North Georgia mountains. So we'll tell you what we think is going to happen there as well. So I'll bring your attention to the graphic that you see on the screen. This is potential round one of strong to severe thunderstorms, which I think will be in here somewhere between 10 a.m. and noon tomorrow, probably about 11 a.m. Central tomorrow morning. We'll see a line of showers and thunderstorms move through East Alabama and into West Georgia. Right now, it appears that the worst of that weather will be along and south of the I-85 corridor. So we're talking about potentially Auburn, Opelika. We're talking about maybe Beulah down to around Beauregard. We're talking maybe Smith Station, Columbus, Phoenix City, Eufaula, Dothan, maybe Albany, down toward Donaldsonville, and then across the southern, southwestern corner of the state of Georgia, maybe. This line of storm is going to be coming through in the morning, so it's going to be, the atmosphere is going to be cooler. It's going to be cloudy. It's already cloudy outside, so we're not going to have any sunshine in the morning to help fuel the instability at the surface. So we don't think the first round has the potential of being severe, maybe strong. The only exception to that may be across southern Alabama, southeastern Alabama, southwestern Georgia, especially over in Georgia. You're going to have more time for instability to build before the line gets to you. We're probably looking at a 1 or 2 p.m. time frame for round one for southwest Georgia. So there's a better chance there that we may see a strong to marginally severe storm in the morning. And then after that line moves through, the conditional part is going to be how much sunshine do we get between round one and potential round two? Round two may not even develop at all. But if we get breaks in the clouds, we get a lot of sunshine tomorrow afternoon, then we could see a second line of severe storms move through the area. I'm talking late afternoon and into the first part of tomorrow evening. And there is the second possibility. And we have more of a risk with the second possibility if we get some surface-based instability going. The tornado parameters are a little bit higher later in the afternoon. The veering of the winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere a little more significant later in the afternoon. So we have a 2 out of 5 risk for central and portions of east central Alabama. Tomorrow afternoon, and we're talking 4 p.m. through about 8 p.m. Central. And then as the sun sets, that line of storms would be moving on into West Georgia, Southwest Georgia, and we'll be losing that daytime heating. So if round two does develop tomorrow, I think it will be weakening as it moves into southeast Alabama, southwest Georgia. So kind of a 1-2 punch. The early one has a chance of increasing in intensity as it moves into extreme southeast Alabama and southwest Georgia. Round 2, if it develops, has a chance of being strong through central Alabama and into parts of east Alabama, and then weakening as we lose the heating of the day into west Georgia and southwest Georgia. So those, you can see that this is going to be very conditional tomorrow. We know that we'll have the different pieces in the neighborhood, whether or not they all come together at the exact same time to produce severe weather, is something we're going to kind of have to really watch and see how this develops throughout the day. The only thing we can tell you for sure at this point is that it is going to rain. And rain is one thing we do not need. The ground is completely saturated all across Alabama and Georgia. So the ground cannot soak up any more water. Every drop that falls from the sky now is going to run off. It's not going to be absorbed by the soil. So even though we're only probably looking at 1 to 2 inches of rain in this event late tonight and throughout the day tomorrow, every bit of that's going to run off. So creeks and rivers are already swollen, almost to the point of flood stage in some locations. So every drop of rain that falls tonight and tomorrow is going to run into those creeks and rivers. And so that's going to cause those creeks and rivers to come out of their bank. Now, I don't think we're looking at a widespread flooding, river flooding situation here, but there will be some low-lying, agriculture areas that are going to probably go underwater at some point tomorrow if we get that 1 to 2 inches of rain. And that really looks likely. And the confidence level's pretty high on the fact that we're going to have rain. The question mark is going to be on the severity part of all of this and whether or not we have one round of strong storms or whether we have two. And if we get any sunshine between the two different systems tomorrow, the more sunshine we get, the more instability is going to build at the surface, and the greater that chance is going to be that we'll see round 2 in the afternoon. So you hear me say this from time to time. Tomorrow is going to be one of those days where sun is not a good thing. We don't want sunshine on your Saturday. We want it to stay cloudy, and we want it to be cool, and we would like to see a light misty rain all day long. That would be the perfect scenario to keep us from having to deal with severe weather on your Saturday. But I don't think we're going to get exactly that. So that's kind of what we're looking at here, and I've shown you the two different severe threat levels. Again, this is tomorrow morning, and you'll see there that it's a 1 out of 5, which is a very low risk. And the timing on that's between about 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. for places along and south of the I-85 corridor. Technically, Southeast Chambers is in this, so maybe from about Lafayette south in Alabama, and then in Georgia from about LaGrange south and south to the southeast of LaGrange would be in this area tomorrow morning where we could see a strong thunderstorm. And then round 2, again, if it develops, will be later on in the afternoon. We're talking the timing here between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. These are central times. That'd be 5 to 9 p.m. over on the eastern side of the time zone. And you can see there that on that second round, if it does develop, there is a slight risk, which is a 2 out of 5. That's a little bit higher than a marginal risk. And the main risk in that second round will be a brief tornado, damaging winds of up to 60 miles per hour. I think damaging winds is going to be the greatest threat with both of these if we see any severe weather at all. And then if you're in that green, which encompasses the yellow, you're in a marginal risk tomorrow afternoon. And we still have those threats I just mentioned, but they're less likely in those areas where you see the green. So if you know where you live on the map, you can kind of tell what we're talking about here as far as severe weather possibilities for tomorrow. Here's the total rainfall output for the state of Alabama. This is what the computers are saying is going to happen tomorrow. 1 to 1.5 inches of rain in that darker green. In the lighter green, we're talking a 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And again, that's all going to be dependent on whether or not we get that second line of storms forming late in the afternoon, and whether or not we have any training that takes place. If we get storms that set up in southwest Alabama, and they're moving up through central Alabama and east Alabama. They keep running over the same locations time and time again. It's conceivable we could see even more than an inch and a half, but right now the Weather Service is saying between an inch and a half in most locations across central Alabama and east Alabama. Total rainfall output, but again, normally that's really not a whole lot more than we would get in a typical summertime afternoon thunderstorm. And we can pick up an inch to 2 inches out of one storm around here, and it's typically not a big deal. But you got to take into account all of the rain we've received over the last couple of weeks. Again, the ground is completely saturated, so, even if it's just a half inch that falls, that's running off into creeks and rivers, and it's going to cause them to continue to rise. So that's the danger part about what we're looking at tomorrow and tomorrow night. So let's take a look at the high-resolution radar. This will give us kind of an idea. This is on the first line of storms that will move in tomorrow morning between 10 and noon Central Time, probably around 11. And this particular computer model says that it will happen. This will be moving in. This shot is what the radar or the computer thinks the radar is going to look like at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. And you can see that line of storms there. And I don't see anything particularly interesting or anything that is severe other than there's very heavy rainfall across East Alabama about to move into West Georgia at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. But also notice just south of the I-85 corridor, you'll see there where we have kind of a bow in the line. It's real thin, but you see the line's kind of bowing out there. That's an indication that the computer, at least, thinks there may be some wind involved with this line when it moves through tomorrow morning. So there could be some gusty winds all involved with this as well. And if you'll follow that line further to the south, you'll see it gets wider and there's more red in that line the further south you go. And by the time you get down there to around Andalusia or even down into northwest Florida to places like Pensacola, some pretty hefty thunderstorms down there along the coast. And if those storms grow that strong down there along the Gulf Coast, that could limit the moisture streaming north in this line of storms up across East Alabama and West Georgia. That's another caveat we've got to kind of watch for and see if that becomes a limiting factor to the severity or the strongness of these storms when they move through East Alabama and West Georgia. This particular radar model does not go out far enough to look at the potential second line, but if you'll look up there in northern Mississippi, you see that low-pressure system up there just south of Tupelo, and lots of rain up around Memphis. Again, this is at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. And that's where the second line of storms would form and then continue moving to the southeast across northern Mississippi and into Alabama as we go throughout the afternoon. But I'll point your attention to the fact that you see some scattered showers building out ahead of this line tomorrow morning. That could limit the severity of this second line that's in the process of forming. So if we start to see those showers breaking out well ahead of the front itself, that could help limit that severe possibility with the main storm system later on in the day. That's a lot of information. There's a lot of ifs and buts, and you know how that story goes. But I just want you to understand that this situation we're going to be dealing with primarily tomorrow morning and throughout the day on Saturday is highly conditional on multiple different facets of this storm system. And they've all got to come together for us to have to deal with any severe weather. At any rate, we're not looking at a red letter severe day here across Alabama or Georgia, but there certainly could be some scattered strong to marginally severe storms and some flooding issues as we go throughout this event on your Saturday. I want to take a look at the 6-day forecast, kind of give you an idea of what's down the road. Of course, late tonight, we may have some showers move in, down to about 60 degrees this evening. Then on your Saturday, we're calling for periods of heavy rain, maybe some thunder from time to time. It's possible if we get that second line of storms late tomorrow afternoon that we could see a few severe storms across the area. Look at the temperature, though. 68 will be the high tomorrow. If we get any sunshine between systems, It's conceivable that some locations could certainly hit 70 and maybe even 72 or 73. That's not going to be a good thing, and we don't want to see that tomorrow. That sunshine we had this afternoon was A-OK. I mean, Friday afternoon turned out to be gorgeous across East Alabama and West Georgia, and I tell you, that was very welcome, even though it was only for a few hours because we were nasty up here in the North Mountains this morning, and then we got some sun this afternoon. It was really, really nice. We enjoyed that. But we do not want to see that happen tomorrow after that first line of storms, because that could certainly help change things for the worse later on in the day. And we'll cool off a little bit. After this front moves through tomorrow, we're dropping back down into the low 40s for your overnight low on Saturday. Sunday will be a mostly sunny, mostly cloudy with a little sun in the afternoon. High temperature of around 50, down to 36 on Sunday night. And then Monday, full-blown sunshine. High temperature in the low 50s, down into maybe 31, 32 for your overnight low Monday night. But that's the only night next week that we think will dip below freezing. Tuesday will be sunny, 58, and then Wednesday mostly sunny, 56. There could be a sprinkle Tuesday night into Wednesday. And then the rest of the week into next weekend at the moment looks dry. It's going to be seasonably... going to have seasonal temperatures, nothing extreme either way, and it's going to be dry through next weekend. And that's also a good thing. We deserve a good weekend because really every weekend since Christmas has been yuck. And so next weekend, actually, though, right now is looking pretty decent. And then I got to tell you, the long-range forecast, for whatever that is worth, and the only reason I'm going to mention this is because in mid-December, the long-range forecast was pointing out an Arctic outbreak in the first part of January, and it actually happened. So the only reason I'm going to mention this is because we just came out of a period that was forecast 2 weeks in advance, and it was true. There are signals coming from the long-range models that we are headed for another Arctic outbreak sometime in mid-February. Right now, it's pointing toward Valentine's Day week. We're talking about another Arctic blast from the frozen tundras. So we may be looking at another cold period as we head toward the middle of February. But hey, again, that's a long way off, and a lot of things can change between now and then. Let's take a look at the current radar out there, brought to you by the Southern Union State Community College in Wadley, Opelika Valley. And we look at the radar, you can see what's happening out there right now, and you can look back over there toward Jackson, Mississippi. You have to look no further than Jackson, Mississippi to see that we have our storm system already forming out there. We have some heavy showers just to the west of Jackson, Mississippi, and that's running right down all the way to New Orleans. We have showers back across Louisiana, Alexandria, Shreveport, and then really all the way back toward Houston, Texas. We've got showers and thunderstorms taking place out there this evening. Every bit of that is headed off to the northeast, and that's what will be coming in here tomorrow. We believe that a line of thunderstorms will form as day approaches tomorrow morning across extreme eastern Mississippi or western Alabama, and that will be that first round that will come through here around 11 a.m. Tomorrow morning. Also notice we've got some showers developing out in the Gulf of Mexico and back up toward Pensacola and Mobile. And all the way over toward Panama City. There's just light rain, nothing to it really at this point. But, if that stuff were to work up into East Alabama during the overnight, that would keep the atmosphere cool. So when this first line comes through, there won't be a whole lot to it. And that's kind of what the thinking is right now. And then after we clear the first line, we'll see if we get some sunshine before that second line can form. Maybe it won't form at all. That's the conditional part. We're just going to have to kind of watch this and see how it unfolds tomorrow as we go through your Saturday. So let's run back up to the chat room and let's see if you have any questions about this weather setup. Now's the time to post those questions because I'm actually monitoring the room now. I can see what you're saying. Monica's watching us in Roanoke. We have Miss Cecilia watching us there at Newman Farms on Highway 77 in Pennon, Alabama. says that she missed us this morning. And yeah, folks, I missed being here this morning. We had gremlins at work during the night last night and totally wiped out some stuff on the system here, and it took us part of the day to get that back working again. But we seem to be functional now, so apologize for not having your primetime forecast this morning. Like we typically do every single morning by about 6 a.m., we post the forecast for that day. So if you don't follow us over on Facebook, and if you hadn't subscribed to us on YouTube, you need to do that. For a number of different reasons. Number one, it keeps us on your news feed. Number two, you get that push notification from over there at YouTube, so that when we go live, you'll be guaranteed to get the notification. And you see some links scrolling there on the screen. If you'd like to support us, that's how you do it. You have multiple options. You can use PayPal, you can use Cash App, you can use Venmo. There are a number of different ways to support us, and we appreciate everything you can send our way. That helps pay the bills, because this is not a cheap venture. Trust me, there's a lot to this to make it work the way that it does. So there's a Facebook user that says they just joined from Napoleon. Yeah, it's going to be wet in Napoleon on your Saturday, potentially 2 rounds of strong thunderstorms. The first round doesn't look that significant, and that would be around 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. And then if round 2 does form, that's a big if right now, it would be late in the afternoon, and that one would have a better chance of bringing significant severe if it can get going tomorrow afternoon. Of course, we'll be live tomorrow, and we'll be updating you throughout the day on what that's looking like. Also, if you're on Facebook and you're looking at the screen, you see your comment, and then right above it, it says Facebook user. You need to click on the link in the chat room that allows Restream to show your username. There's another Facebook user, Starkville, Mississippi 4 game. I guess you're talking about the forecast for the game in Starkville tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly what time tip-off is. What time's tip-off? Let me know, and then I can give you a better idea. Storms should be, the first round will certainly be out of Mississippi by that time. And if we get the second round, it'll probably come through the Starkville area. I would guess two-ish. 1 or 2 tomorrow afternoon. But if you are a Facebook user and you don't see your username, be sure that you click on that link over in the chat room that gives Restream permission to show your username. 2:30 start, yeah, for the Auburn game over at Starkville. Yeah, I think there will be showers and thunderstorms in the area. Maybe cleared Starkville by 2:30, but that's going to be a close call. Regina says that she's working till 12 p.m., going to be weather aware in Roanoke. Fantastic. Boy, I'm telling you, those kind of comments just get me right there. Because that's the name of the game, folks. That's how you stay safe during severe weather, is by being weather aware. Just situational awareness. Know what's going on around you. Being able to survive severe weather is all about knowing what's going on and understanding how weather works. Being able to look at a map and pick out where you live on that map so that you can understand the information that Weather Service and meteorologists are giving you. That's all part of being weather aware. So fantastic comment there. Dennis is watching us over in Meriwether County in West Georgia. Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate those kind words. There's that link right there on the screen. It says Facebook users. Click here to give Dr. Don permission to see it should say see, your username. That's a link right there. That is a valid link. Click on it and click yes so that I can see who you are. That's only if you're on Facebook. If you're on YouTube watching us, you don't have to worry about none of that nonsense. But for some reason, Facebook says that Restream has to give permission. So please do that if you are a Facebook user, so I know who you are. Otherwise, I'm not going to know who you are making those comments. And if you don't want me to know who you are, that's fine. But if you want me to know who you are, you need to click on that link right there and give Restream. And I think you only have to do it one time. You don't have to do it every time you go live. Lisa, let's see, weather gets crazy. I'll pull up your broadcast. Well, thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. We We try to give it to you in a way you can understand it. Keep it simple, and without getting all upset and excited, and zero fear mongering here. A lot of outlets do that to get you to click on their stuff. We don't do that. We just shoot it straight, and we take the information that the Weather Service is putting out, and we relay it to you in a way that's easy to understand. That's all we do. I don't make the forecast. Now, I may throw my opinion in there sometimes, because those of you who know me know that I have a hard time with that. Sometimes I let this overload this or other locations. And so I will throw my opinion out there from time to time. And fortunately, I have good friends at both Weather Service offices that we cover, Birmingham and Peachtree City, and they will pull me back occasionally. If you hear my phone going off in the background during severe weather coverage, it's probably one of those friends of mine at the Weather Service saying, all right, Strength, shut up. You're going overboard with this. But, hey, it's okay. Yeah, it is what it is. Thank you. I appreciate those kind words. Jackie's watching us up in Newell. Hey, Melissa, good to see you in here tonight. I appreciate all of you folks stopping by to see what we're talking about. And if you've just joined us, I will go back and recap here in just a few moments the reason we're here. We're talking about the potential for a lot of rain on Saturday, and maybe even a round or two of strong to severe thunderstorms. The whole thing's very conditional as to how much rain we get and whether we see any severe weather or not. And so we're really going to have to kind of play this thing as it happens tomorrow and give you more information as the day goes along. But I'll go back and show those graphics and tell you what the possibilities are here in just a few minutes when we get ready to wrap this thing up. Hey, Heather, good to see you in here this evening. Lisa, watching us from Columbus, Georgia. Thank you, all folks down there along the Chattahoochee in Columbus. We appreciate that. We have a lot of folks who follow us down in the Columbus, Phoenix City, Smith Station area, and we appreciate all of you. Brenda's up on the ridge in Wadley, Alabama, staying updated. Same thing for Rock Mills, Melissa, as everybody else. We're talking about the potential of 1 to 1.5 inches of rain throughout the day tomorrow. We're talking about maybe a line of strong thunderstorms around noon or just before noon tomorrow. And then if the sun comes out after that first round, we could see a second round of strong storms form late tomorrow afternoon that would move through Rock Mills somewhere around 5 or 6 p.m. If that second line forms, that's where stronger storms could possibly be tomorrow. But it's all conditional. A lot of things are going to have to happen just right to get that to happen tomorrow. Francis is watching us up in the capital city of Wedowee. Sharon shared with all of her friends. That's a great idea, folks. You can do your part during severe weather and share Dr. Don's weather with all of your friends. And here's the deal. Ask them to share with their friends. If everybody will do that, then, boy, we'll go out there to, tens and twenties of thousands of people. I mean, we already have close to 20,000 followers, but we can double that. We can double that in one broadcast if everybody will share it with their friends and ask them to share with their friends. It really helps us out in a lot of different ways, keeps us in front of everybody on their news feed because, Facebook works a little different from YouTube. If you don't like us, pretty often or engage with us pretty often, I'm talking about at least on a weekly basis, if not daily, then eventually we'll fall off of your news feed and you will not get notified when we go live to cover severe weather. That's for Facebook only. That's why I preach to you to head over to our YouTube channel and subscribe. It is free. And click that little what? That little bell so that you'll get notified because YouTube sends out what's called a push notification when we go live. Doesn't matter whether you've watched us in the last year or so. As long as you're subscribed to our channel, you're going to get that notification. Okay, Beverly, thank you for reminding me to talk about where I live. I told you at the top of this I was going to do that, and I hadn't done it yet. So the further north you go tomorrow, the least chance you're going to see anything severe. However, for those of you who live up here in North Georgia, in the Northeast Georgia mountains, places like Dahlonega, Cleveland, Helen, even Gainesville, Dawsonville, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, Clayton, Toccoa, all those places, you know that the mountains up here does weird stuff to our weather. Sometimes it enhances the weather. Sometimes it will keep the weather at bay. So there is always an enhanced risk of more rain around the mountains because the mountains provide lift. And when you get lift, that can enhance rainfall. So there's certainly a greater risk of more rainfall up here in Dahlonega and Cleveland tomorrow than there is in East Alabama and West Georgia. But the severe risk is going to be lower because we're typically anywhere from 2 to 10 degrees cooler up here than you are in East Alabama and West Georgia, and certainly South Georgia. So that helps limit severe weather. Severe weather has to have heat. It has to have instability, which comes from heat, to be able to maintain. So we're not really looking at a severe threat up here tomorrow, but we could be looking at more of a flooding threat across North Georgia and Northeast Georgia, particularly up here on the backside, and for those who live on the north side of the Appalachian chain. Hope that answered your question. And for those of you who are watching from up here in Northeast Georgia, I hope that kind of told you what we're looking about here. I mean, if you're up here, you know the Chattahoochee's already done. I mean, it is done. They're holding the Fashing event in Helen tomorrow, and typically that involves a bunch of how can I say this politically correct? A bunch of folks that ain't just right up here running up and down the street celebrating Fashing, and then they have their inner tubes, and then they jump in that ice-cold Chattahoochee River that is 25 degrees below zero in the middle of July, much less the end of January, and they shoot the hooch. They ride the river all the way through Helen in their costumes for Fashing, which is in Helen tomorrow. They've canceled the river tubing part of that because the Chattahoochee actually got out of its banks day before yesterday, and it really hasn't come down much, and it's running way too fast for anybody to try to maneuver that thing in a tube right now. If you've ever done that in Helen, you know that as you go under the bridge right there on Main Street in Helen, there's some pretty, I mean, relatively speaking, for that part of the river, that's where the roughest part is. I'm not even going to call them rapids because they really aren't, but there's some pretty large boulders in the river right there, and you have to maneuver right between two of them to make it past that point. Well, the river's completely over those boulders, so it's extremely dangerous. All it would take is for you to slip out of a tube with the river as high as it is right now, hit your head on one of those rocks, and I mean, you're over Nora Mills and halfway to Gainesville before anybody can get to you. So they've canceled that part, and nobody should be getting in the river up there. So the point I'm trying to make is any rain we get tomorrow is going to make that even worse, and so it wouldn't take much at all to get the Chattahoochee completely out of its banks tomorrow if you're up here in the Northeast Georgia mountains. So keep that in mind if you're going to be traveling around up here tomorrow. Dawsonville, Georgia's in the house. Hey, Stephen. He says he's got his kayak ready for tomorrow. You may need it, Stephen. Hey, Morris. Thanks for watching us from Wedowee, Alabama. Thank you, Beverly. Thank you for reminding me. Do I think tornadoes will come to Talladega, Alabama? Well, I'll tell you, there's not a high risk of tornadic activity in tomorrow morning's event. If there are any tornadoes tomorrow morning, it would be down in southeast Alabama and maybe southwest Georgia, and even there the risk is like, maybe 5 to 9% chance of a tornado within a 25-mile radius of any given point. So that's pretty low. It's not zero, but it's pretty low. And then if we get round 2 tomorrow afternoon late, I think if there's going to be a tornado threat, it would, for East Alabama at least, Talladega, it would be greater tomorrow afternoon. But even then, we're probably not looking at much more than a 20% chance of a pop-up, spin-up tornado within a 25-mile radius of any given point. Question, did I get my crystal ball yet? As a matter of fact, that crystal ball, I think, has gotten me into lots of trouble. Let me explain right quick. So I do have a crystal ball on the way. That was... The crystal ball idea was born back when we had a couple little threats of ice here a couple of weeks ago, because people were asking very specific weather questions. And I made the comment, and I hollered downstairs and told producer Tracy to grab the crystal ball. Well, everybody thought that was hilarious, and I wasn't trying to be a smarty pants, but sometimes I just, like I said, sometimes this overloads this or other locations, and I just blurt things out. But so I've actually found a company that can make me a crystal ball that will have the Dr. Don logo in the middle of it. And I'm going to use that joker right here when we do these live broadcasts. So I know it's on its way. It has shipped from the factory. All right, so the last couple of days, and when you order stuff, you have no earthly idea how they're going to ship it nowadays. It could come a multitude of different ways. It could come UPS, FedEx, United States Postal Service. It could come carrier pigeon. It could come by submarine. There's no telling how it's going to come to you. Nobody can tell you either how they're going to send it. And one may hand it off to the other. And I've actually received packages several times from a particular carrier, and I'm not going to say the name, from a particular carrier that I typically don't get things from, but every now and then it happens. So with the last couple of days, I've been getting messages from this particular carrier telling me, and I just looking in the subject line, it says problem with your delivery, problem with the address of your delivery, click here. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But then the package was supposed to have been here a couple of days ago. Finally got the best of me, and this morning I clicked on it, and long story short, my email account, our IT department has disabled my account till they can get that whole mess straightened out. So the crystal ball has created several things here. So hopefully it will come in, though, in the next day or two, and hopefully I can get my email account straightened out, and hopefully I'll get where I can log back into my computer and actually do some work at some point. So, yeah, I just thought I'd share. I mean, when I screw up, I'll be the first one to admit it, and I should never have opened that email, but dadgum, those hackers are pretty smart. They just happened to catch a dude that actually had a package coming that should have already been here. And that's what got me. So y'all be careful. I mean, if you're getting I know you know this. Dadgum, I preach it all the time. If you're not expecting an email, don't open it. Well, guess who did? It is what it is. I can only imagine the IT training that's going to be once they ever turn my account back on. The training I'm going to have to complete over the course of the next year. And Lord have mercy at the comments that have already been thrown at me from my coworkers, because I certainly don't pick on them about things at all. And they finally got something on me, and they are going to town with it. All right, folks, so we are looking at 8:08 p.m. Central. I'm going to run through the graphics again for you right quick, and then we're going to wrap this thing up. Before I do that, though, hey, let me remind you about the Dr. Don coffee cup. We have also got Dr. Don baseball caps. These are embroidered caps. We got T-shirts. We have the hoodies that you see that I have on here. I'll move my cables out of the way so you can see it. We have sweaters. All that's available in our merchandise store, the Dr. Don Weather Store, and the link to the weather store is scrolling in the chat room. And when you make a purchase with these items, you're supporting Dr. Don's Weather. That's a great way to support us because you get something in return other than having to put up with me during severe weather. And I know some of the items are a little more expensive than what you would normally be prepared to pay. I mean, I think the cups are like $14.99 or $15, somewhere around there. But a portion of that comes back to help keep us running. So you're supporting us when you buy these items off of our weather store. And again, the link is scrolling in the chat room. Check that out. And then there are multiple other links where you can support us through PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, several different options there on supporting us as well. So I hope that you'll take a moment to do that. Send us Facebook stars. That helps support us as well, because we need the support to keep all of this going. We're going into our 5th year of coverage for you for East Alabama and West Georgia, and we want to make sure we're doing this 5 years from now. So, all right, let's talk about the weather again real quick for you. And let me reset my graphics right quick. All right, so we'll start with the Saturday morning possibilities. This is tomorrow morning. We have a line of storms that will move across the state of Alabama starting at about daybreak tomorrow morning. Should be in East Alabama around 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. I mean, maybe Talladega a little bit sooner. Then it'll move across East Alabama and into West Georgia by about 12:30 or 1 o'clock Georgia time. And with that one, if there's any strong to severe thunderstorms for that one, it would be, I think, south of the I-85 corridor. So that would be a southeast Alabama. You folks down there in Columbus, Phoenix City, Auburn, Opelika, pay attention to tomorrow morning's line, because there is a chance they could be strong or maybe go severe. But then it all depends on what happens after we clear the first line. If we get sunshine and surface instability continues to build, then there's a decent chance we could have a second line of storms come through here late in the afternoon between 4 and 8 p.m., and this one would have a better risk of severe weather. This would be a 2 out of 5. It would be a slight risk for places like Birmingham, Anniston, Gadsden, Alexander City. We're talking Lineville, Ashland, back over toward Clanton, Selma, Prattville, Montgomery, and maybe as far east as Auburn and down to Troy. You're going to have a better chance of severe weather if line 2 develops. And that's going to be conditional. It's all going to depend on whether we get any instability going. If we end up with a cloudy, rainy day all day tomorrow, then the severe threat's pretty much off the table. However, if we get that first line, it moves through, the rain stops, sun comes out, and we get 3 or 4 hours baking in the sunlight, and temperatures get up into 70, 72, 73, then look out tomorrow afternoon. We could have some pretty significant thunderstorms. That's worst case scenario. Best case scenario, we stay cloudy, rainy, and drizzly all day long. I don't think either extreme is going to happen. I think we're going to meet somewhere in the middle. That's what I think will happen. But tornadoes will be a possibility. Not a high tornado threat. We're talking, less than a 10% chance of a tornado within a 25-mile radius of a given point. That's not a high risk. But hey, if that 10% happens to be in your front yard, then it might as well be 100%, right? So it bears paying attention to. And it requires being weather aware. So in the event that it does happen in your front yard, you'll know how to react and what to do. Severe Weather Awareness Week is coming up in a couple of weeks. Now's a good time to start thinking about, what is your tornado evacuation plan? Where do you go? Where is the safest place to go? Of course, it's the interior of the lowest floor of your home. If you've got a closet or a bathroom in the center of your home on the lowest floor, that's where you should go. If you have a basement, no brainer. You want to head to the basement. And, of course, you want to take anything you can grab with you, or at least already have it staged in there. If you're weather aware, if you're situationally aware of the situation, you know well in advance there's a chance. So have everything you need in that room already. And that, of course, would be blankets, pillows, mattresses, a mattress off of a futon, baseball helmets, batting helmets, bicycle helmets, football helmets to protect your head. Of course, you want to have a couple of those little battery charger things that charge your phone up in the event your phone goes dead and you're trapped, you can't get out. It may be a while before anybody can get to you, so you want to make sure you've got extra power for your phone. Of course, you'd want to have a flashlight in there, a couple of bottles of water, Make sure you have on hard sole shoes in case you do have to dig out yourself out and travel over, debris to get out. Make sure you have a whistle, like you see a referee wear on television, so you can make a loud noise, either a whistle or a can of compressed air, those little horn things, some kind of way of making a loud noise so that rescuers will have a better chance of finding you if you're under a bunch of debris. These are all things you need to think about beforehand. When the tornado siren goes off or a warning is issued for your area, that's not the time to try to figure out what you're supposed to do. And I get in trouble for this one all the time. But folks, it is what it is. If you live in a mobile home, have a plan to go somewhere else during times of severe weather. You don't wait until a warning is issued to try to figure out where you should go if you live in a mobile home. The time to figure that out is right now. The time to make contact with a friend or a family member somewhere to have a place to go during a tornado outbreak is right now, not tomorrow afternoon if it were to happen. So go ahead and make those phone calls. Go ahead and have those arrangements. And I get messages from people all the time. Well, there's just no way. I just don't have anybody. There's no way. And I know this is strong, what I'm about to say. So if you got any kids, you might want to cover their little ears up right quick. If I told you were going to die tomorrow afternoon, would you find somewhere else to go? Let that soak in, because that's how serious this is. I can almost guarantee you anyone who's ever lost their life in a mobile home during a high wind event, and it doesn't take a tornado, a high wind event can do it. Severe thunderstorm, tornado. Every one of them will tell you they didn't leave because they just didn't have anywhere to go. But if they had it to do over again, you got it. That have found somewhere else to go, and you can. There's somebody out there that will help you find somewhere else to go. I know that a lot of the municipalities, I know that the city of Roanoke will do this. I know that Woodland does this. I know that Wadley does this. I'm pretty sure I can remember situations where Wedowee did it too. If this looks like a significant severe weather outbreak, and this event tomorrow does not, I'm just saying in general, part of planning. It looks like a significant weather outbreak, or the possibilities of a significant weather outbreak. Police department, city hall will open their doors. And if you don't have anywhere else to go, you need to get out of par structures during that severe weather, you'll have a place to go. Now, are you going to be safer in those places than you would be in a mobile home? Absolutely you will be. I love mobile homes. I've lived in them many times and would live in one again in a heartbeat. They're beautiful. They're gorgeous. And I would typically say they're more affordable, but in today's world, they're not. But they are what they are, folks, and they're not built to withstand tornadoes and severe wind-damaging storms. And most of the injuries and fatalities that happen in mobile homes don't actually come from the mobile home disintegrating, which they do with a direct hit or a close glancing blow. Most of the damages that result in injuries and fatalities come from trees that blow down on those mobile homes, and there's absolutely nothing there to support a southern pine. It's coming all the way to the ground. It is going to absolutely crush anything in its path. So you got to have somewhere else to go. You got to have a plan, and you can't wait till a tornado warning is issued. It's too late then, unless you're literally going across your yard to someone's brick and mortar or stick-built home. Waiting until a warning is issued is too late. You can't get in your automobile and travel even a block, much less across town, to someone else's house after a warning has been issued. You do that when a watch goes in place. If a tornado watch is issued for your area tomorrow afternoon in East Alabama, and you live in a mobile home, you got to have somewhere to go, and you need to go right then. It'll be time to go. Don't wait until a warning is issued, because then you're putting yourself in an automobile. When a warning is issued, that means it's happening. Doesn't mean that, it's time to go somewhere else. It means when a warning's issued, it's time to shelter right then, right there. Sorry, folks. I have a bad, I should have done that before I got off on that tangent there. That's my soapbox alert. It's just, I'm very passionate about this. It's what I do for a living. I mean, it is. I'm an emergency manager. And it's what I do for a living. And nothing I hate to do, I love to do, it's a love-hate relationship. I mean, I love to cover severe weather and keep you guys safe, show you where it's at, talk about it. But it absolutely rips the heart out of my chest when I see injuries and fatalities in situations that just didn't need to happen. I mean, it could have been prevented. And 9 times out of 10, preventing it all comes back to being what? Weather aware. Being aware of what's going on around you, understand how it works, being able to look at a television screen and understand what the weather person is showing you and telling you and talking about. And these are all things you can do on your own on blue sky days before severe weather hits, and have a plan on what you're going to do. Make sure your family understands that plan so that you don't have to explain it to them when it happens. Make sure you know what you're supposed to do during times of severe weather. That will save your life quicker than anything else. A very, very small percentage of people who die in severe weather have to. I mean, let's face it, a direct hit by a tornado, there's not much that's going to protect you from that. Whether it's a mobile home, brick and mortar, stick built, there's not a whole lot that's going to protect you from a direct hit. I'm talking about like coming right through your living room. But there are a lot of people who get injured and lose their life in severe weather situations where that wasn't the case. They just simply were not aware of what was going on. Or they were watching television and they got upset because the weather guy interrupted their ball game to tell them to take cover so they wouldn't die. Oh, I'm getting back on my soapbox. Let's stop. Tell me it's time to go, producer Trey. Woo, Lord, I mean, my blood pressure went up on that one. It's hot up here, baby. You need to turn the air on. Woo-wee. That guy, I could just feel it coming on that one. All right, I'm done. Let me go back over your chat room and say goodnight to everybody. Before producer Tracy comes up here and literally unplugs the computer on me. Lord have mercy, I'll get started and it'll be like 2 o'clock in the morning before I finish on that one, because that does get me going. Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all tuning in this evening. Again, if we were to have any severe weather, I'll be back with you in the morning for sure. We'll do the primetime forecast, have it out for you by 6, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. And then throughout the day tomorrow, if we have significant weather that I think will impact your area, then we'll go live and we'll hang out tomorrow. And we'll let you know where the weather's at and where we think it's going to go, and what you can do to protect yourself from that weather throughout the day tomorrow. So enjoy the rest of your Friday. Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. I'll see you back in here first thing tomorrow morning on Dr. Don's Weather. Good night, folks.